Dave, what's going on, buddy?
How we doing?
We're
Nice
moving
Fox
fast.
hat you got on there.
You too. We're moving faster than PGA Tour this past weekend.
I'm on the clock.
I think, golly,
This
debate started. This debate started with Dottie Pepper's comments about the lack of respect
before we get into that. So everybody out there in virtual land, we're to get into the 5.5 hour round that happened, at the Farmers for the last group, and basically we're back into the pace of play again here. There's no beating around the bush anymore.
No.
This is coming down to the pace of play, and we are. This is an armchair quarterbacking this situation here. This is us talking from our point of view, our knowledge within the industry, are just us doing what we've been doing for 3 years now, and trying to look at what is wrong or what can be fixed about the state of today's game. So, Steve, what you got?
I'm moving slow in my answer.
Yeah. I feel like Sergio Garcia getting ready for a shot here.
This is a problem that the PGA Tour has faced for years, and it's interesting to me, and it's always been interesting to me that when you look at what happens in the PGA Tour, when you look at what happens when we go out and play, these guys are professionals. These guys are the best of the best. So the top 0.001% of all golfers, right? Like, we think that 80% of the golfers don't break par. They're the top 1%, or 90% of the golfers don't break 90. I mean, you think about where these guys play. I mean, they shoot 65 in their sleep at their home course.
Right.
I've seen it literally with my own eyes.
That Max Homa would have the record at his home course, but that's another story.
But the problem with the PGA Tour is they don't start enforcing pace of play until
it's in their rules.
But they don't do it until you're out of position.
Right.
So if the first group goes out and they play slow,
everybody else is
out of position.
I'm gonna throw something out here. Greg's out doing some family things tonight, but you and I and Greg are very big baseball people. We'll put it out there. I did not think that the pitch clock and the batter time, I was not a big fan of it. Do I think that has detracted from the game? Absolutely not. I don't even notice it really anymore. The NFL has a play clock. The NBA has a shot clock. Hockey, you really can't do much about hockey. Putting
and if
clock.
You go to a hockey game as fast paced the hockey game is anyway.
It's fast paced anyway.
Yeah.
What is preventing? And we all watch. We're watching TGL.
Do you want to know what's preventing it?
We're watching TGL. Tiger had a shot clock violation. There's a shot clock.
Correct.
These guys are now getting used to playing, with a clock. What is to say, the Augusta wind picks up, something. You guys you're professionals. You have all these yardages mapped out and memorized, like the back of your hand here. Why do you need 3 minutes to hit a shot? And here's
the thing, and I will say this: the only defense that I'm going to give them, okay. Saturday when we all went out as a group, and there were 28 golfers that went out on Saturday afternoon and played.
Correct.
We teed off at 1:09. The last group teed off at 2.
Right.
Okay. At 2:00 in January, you are racing sunlight, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Everybody finished.
Yeah. Now your group, you finished as an 8-some on the last hole, a little bit in the dark.
A little bit in the dark.
but you can still see. I played
Yep.
out at the links course at Evermore. Big shout out to Evermore there. I finished 18 there, semi in the dark, in the rain, and everything else that was going on the other week. What is preventing us from having a shot clock in the bottom right hand corner of a TV screen while these guys are out there playing and going from there? There's enough volunteers around there that everybody could have a stopwatch and
I'm gonna give you this as the problem with TV. And it's always been my problem. The way they hand out fines on the PGA Tour, like if you cuss on TV, you get a fine. You literally, it's like the NFL. They send you a letter on Tuesday and you have to pay a fine. The problem is when you just keep it as the guys that are on TV.
Right.
When you're looking at just the guys that are on TV, guys like Tiger, if he's playing, guys like Scotty, they're going to have way more TV time than, say, the guy who went off, obviously, first that day.
Right.
So the problem is you have to start with the guys that went off first. The biggest problem is what you really need to do on the PGA Tour is expand your rules officials, put a rules official in every group, and then time everybody. And they walk around with a clipboard. They look like Pat Riley. And they need to literally sit there with a stopwatch and time everybody and be like, nope, you had a bad time. Now, I'm going to say this. I get you're about to pull the trigger. You're well within your time. And the wind blows and a gust comes up and it's blowing harder than it was when you pulled the club. That's going to take additional time, and I understand that. I do. And at that point, when you are playing for what is millions of dollars, and that is your livelihood, and Dave, again, if it takes you an extra second or two to put the right amount of sugar in to get the wine the way you want it to taste, I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Right.
But
however,
where is it? Do we start putting up like a shot like let's go to soccer here, an injury time that is it's an arbitrary figure assigned by the referee that is
extra
injury time.
Yeah. Extra time, whatever you're calling it.
You know, so you have this 45 second shot clock with, and say you have to change clubs to, and the referee is there and is resetting the clock, or do you get like an additional 30 seconds of shot adjustment?
Here's my take. We were talking about Torrey Pines. My other problem is it's a golf course that these guys play every year on the tour. It's not like we were at the Open or
right.
or the U.S. Open or the PGA. This is a golf course you guys play every year on the PGA Tour. Most of the same guys show up for the same events. That's what happens. I'm going to side with Dottie Pepper on the respect level. But Dave, and I'm going to say this is going to go back to arguably my worst round of golf that I've ever played in.
Was I on the bag for that one?
You were. We went off the 10th tee at Lake Wales Country Club in the U.S. Open qualifier. You were caddying for me. I was playing the U.S. Open qualifier. And we're standing there on the tee, and we're talking with the first tee announcer, was a woman. And she's handing us our scorecards and our rule sheets. And we're grabbing pin sheets and tees and doing what you do on the first tee at any event. And she says, okay, guys, the pace of play today is 5.5 hours. Now, anyone that's ever played Lake Wales Country Club, there isn't a long walk between any green and any tee on the entire golf course. It is an old-style golf course. It was built way back in the early, I want to say 1930s, 1940s. May have been the 1920s. So there's a lot of short walks and a lot of greens on top of tees, maybe a tree in the way to block, but that's about it. And I looked at her, and a couple of my buddies, and Alicia was there, my wife, and I looked at the woman, and I was like, what'd you say? She was like, pace of play is 5.5 hours. And I was like, and you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Because I got a problem with it. I'm a fast player to begin with. I don't even take a practice swing. Like, I get a number, I grab a club, I know what it's doing, and we just go with it. And that's what we do. I have a hard time. I have a hard time when golf takes long, and I wonder sometimes if I'd play tournament golf better if I'd slow down a little bit. But I would much rather play. I would much rather play fast. I'd probably play better if I played even faster. And
like here,
because you can't get into a rhythm, it's just a bunch of hurry up and wait when you're playing a 5.5 hour round.
Right, and I can this. The other week I'm down there in Florida, playing golf. Missed all you guys at the show. We're a group of 16, and we were either probably one of the first tee times out when we played 36. We were one of the first tee times out in the morning. When we played just 18, we had like call it a 10:30 tee time. Yep. Played at Southern Dunes and Panther, and Celebration. We went off at 8:00 in the morning, and there was already groups out in front of us that day.
Yep.
But even playing it at 10:30 in the morning, and there was a lot of times I was the fourth group out, except for the last day because I finished last. Even as group 4, we were in 4:20, 4:30, and that's on a.
I'm going to give
the weather.
I'm going to give you that you put a lot of cart path only golf, I'm sure, during that
time. Celebration 12 through 17 was the only cart path only. Because the links at Evermore does not have cart paths.
Right.
Southern Dunes doesn't have a lot of cart paths, and Orange County National does not have a lot of cart paths.
No, they don't.
So we got rained out one day in the morning, and then we were the first group off in the afternoon once they opened up the course. Yep. And there's no reason that a group of 16 guys should be playing. We didn't play in 5.5 hours, and we're not playing for there is a minor amount of cash on the line for some of these side games and things like that. So yeah, a 5-foot putt or a 12-foot putt, you want to take your time and read, but we're not. We're out there, we're having fun, we're enjoying it. I understand that millions and millions of dollars is on the line for some of these guys, but it's no different than Juan Soto being paid $765 million by the New York Mets. Do you think he's going to get extra time to take a swing rather than Kevin Biggio? No, they're going to get the same amount of time, no matter how much money they were getting paid by the second or by the minute. They're going to get up there, and they're going to swing the bat, and they're going to hit a baseball. 100-mile-an-hour baseball is no different than, a 125-yard shot into the 12th green at Augusta. Well, it's a little bit different, but you understand my point here.
Yeah.
The professional athletes are all playing, the PGA guys, yes, they're not getting paid like Juan Soto, who, if he does not show up for the next 8 years, he's still getting $765 million. Whereas, if you don't beat Scotty Scheffler, you're not finishing first. So right. Yes, there is a different payout structure on the PGA Tour, but at the same time, he's still getting paid.
I'm not arguing you're getting paid, but when you look at the idea, and I'm not trying to play devil's advocate because it's literally the craziest thing in the entire planet that takes them 5.5 hours in twosomes.
Yeah.
To play a golf
as the what you are calling your profession. This is what you do for a living. You hit thousands of golf balls a week for a living. You should know the difference between Augusta. Yes, it changes, and I get that, and I'm not knocking these guys for what they're doing from my armchair quarterback position here. But 5.5 hours in a twosome on a Sunday in a final round is absurd. It just gives TV time more commercials that we don't want to watch anyway.
Right. I think the tour needs to take a long, hard look because I think it's going to, and our smack of the week this week was a Lasix commercial making fun of the NFL officials.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk about NFL officials and whether or not they change the outcome of the game for a certain team. I think the PGA Tour struggles right now. There's so much attention on the whole PGA Tour live thing. And I think the PGA Tour is trying to figure out and find its way to make it better. I was very disappointed this week. I read an article where Rory has said that maybe there's too many tour events and they need to shrink them down and play less events. I think part of the problem with live is that you don't see it every week.
Right.
That it's forgotten about. And I do think that is a big problem for me. I think that they need to really do a much better job getting their name out there, especially with what they're doing. But the guys don't want to play more. It is what it is.
And this comes back to that upper 1% of the PGA Tour that is trying to make decisions for the other 99. I'm going to throw a name out there. Joel Damon does not want less events. He wants to be out there. But I'm spitballing there because the guy made the cut on like the last putt of the year last year.
Here's my problem, and I'm going to agree with what you're saying is the upper echelon of the tour. If you go less events, if you go to that, you'll never see the tour. You'll never see Scotty Scheffler before he became Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
You're just going to see Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantlay, and all of these guys that are always in the top 25, and that's all you're going to see forever. Even when their game falls off, you're never going to see them change. It is going to be the same guys playing events over and over again. Yeah. And I honestly believe that I think the tour needs to figure out, and again, we've talked about this. Do I think the tour needs to do a better job marketing some of these younger players and some of these guys that are in that 71 to 125 number from last year? Yes, I do. They do a great job marketing their stars. It's the Michael Jordan era of the NBA.
I mentioned this on Tuesday, on our normal show that, JT sent out a letter to everybody about, interaction and media and, basically making golf fun again.
Right.
And I think, yes, there's a lot that has been taken away between this whole live and the PIF and the PGA. We've all been watching the TGL as well too. I think it's gotten a little bit better each week. The Tiger Rory match with the 7 hammers thrown, I believe, and an overtime was probably the most exciting match that has happened so far. But there's a lot to be learned from TGL. We've said the shot clock. These guys are getting used to playing on that, and simulator golf is much different than real life golf. And is there an easy fix here? No, but I think a lot has to be done on the PGA, PIF, live level that gets fixed before some of these other problems get addressed. And right now, the pace of play is probably at the top of that list, but it's the redheaded stepchild right now until all this other stuff gets taken care of.
Give me your opinion. It's a bigger issue, stars not playing or pace of play?
Pace of play.
I would agree with that.
Because here's the thing.
Because at some point, and let's just use, I'm going to use a player like Akshay.
Right.
For one, would anybody know if with this closed circuit, Davis Riley has won twice in the PGA Tour. He and Akshay have as many wins on tour as each other. Like, they both have 2 wins on the PGA Tour. If you look at the idea that these guys wouldn't get a shot.
No.
They wouldn't. Even Luke Clanton, the Luke Clantons of the world, and the story that he has done in the events that he has played in as a collegiate, you're not going to get the same story. You're not going to get the Luke Clinton stories if you go to less events, because it's going to be the closed shop. Like, you're going to make it more of a closed shop. So I think that the tour needs to really take a long, hard look at how do we. I mean, I almost feel like we need to get the tasers from Jurassic Park that they use on the Raptors, to get these guys moving.
And here's the thing: you turn into. You look at, we all watch coverage on Thursday or Friday, and most of it is on ESPN Plus, and it's not just featured group. It's, Scotty's group, or it's Hideki, or it's, they're going to throw out the big name that's there and not who else is in the group. Maybe I want to watch Nick Dunlap and who's ever he's, paired with there. But there's a lot of people out there, your casual golf fans, or even some of your bigger golf fans that only want to tune in if it's Tiger or Rory or Scott, if it's one of those top 10 or 12 guys. After that, you lose them. And that's where, the PGA needs to come in and market, these guys. Yes, Netflix and Full Swing does a great job.
But Netflix and Full Swing market the top players in the game. They market.
But did I know? Did I really know who Sahith Theegala was before he was on season 1 of Full Swing? I had heard of him, but I found out a lot more about him.
Yeah.
There comes a time and a place where, you have to just sit back and relax and enjoy the game of golf for the game of golf, no matter who is on your TV screen. And we are slowly becoming a golf world without Tiger as being Tiger still is the needle. Everybody will tune in if Tiger shows up at an event, but we're slowly getting to that point where Tiger's not going to be there anymore. And the PGA and everybody else needs to figure out how, and Rory is no spring chicken either. Let's put that out there, and we say that, and the guys.
Rory's 34.
I know. And you think about how long Rory has been out there playing, and I say that as a 46-year-old sitting here right now with a bad back and a bad golf swing. Where is this next crop of players going to come through? And it is these guys that are right now between that 70 and 100, 120 mark that you need to figure out who it is. And if you're taking 5.5-hour rounds, you're only going to focus on those top 12 players. You need to pick this pace of play up. You need to get, whether you're playing in threesomes or not, just to get them out there, get these names out there, pick up the pace of play, and get a move on. Get the let out, people.
Here's the other problem you run into is the tour decided to limit field sizes this year, right? They're only carrying 100 players, not 125 in the next year.
Right. So you're limiting your exposure to
the other
everybody else.
The reason they did that was because they said they couldn't get finished in time on Friday to make the cut. So the guys are coming back on Saturday morning. When you have guys in twosomes taking 5.5 hours played, that's not the problem.
That's not the problem. It's not the field size, it's a pace of play. And you and I can sit here and we could spout off groups of 2 people that we know are going to take 5.5 hours if they get paired together because their routines match up. One of them hates wearing hats and the other's out with a rib injury right now.
I think the tour has to do something to address slow play. They need to stop looking and saying smaller this, smaller that. They need to address the slow play. It's the pink elephant in the room. And at this point, everybody else in this world, including us, are addressing it. So at this point, they need to really take a long, hard look at the slow play problem because it's a problem. It's no longer a.
But when the tour, if and when they decide to drop that hammer, and it drops on, say the 76th ranked player in the world that they drop the hammer on, and
the problem is they're going to drop.
But it on the then the top 12,
they're going to drop it on the wrong guy.
They're to drop it on the wrong guy, and then top 12, and they're going to go back and why didn't you? why didn't you drop it here? Well, you got, I'm sorry, the top 12 got Patrick Mahomes, and, you got to be the Buffalo Bills.
That's valid too.
So the tour's going to have to drop the hammer on the right person at the right time for everybody to go, maybe this is the right thing. So on that note, great show here. Go back, check out our Tuesday show. It was a recap of the PGA show from this past week. We talked about a lot of our great things. Desert Fox coming on board with us here at the tavern. There is
and everybody
a
have a good
promo
week
code
and
out there.
enjoy the halfway house in our show, and we will see you next week.
Cheers.
Deuces.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, having the opportunity to build something
That has gone viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits for 700